There we are. Okay. Going to mute that. And we are going to roll. Right now, three of the sharpest minds in agriculture are sitting at the same table as you to talk about the technology that is transforming how we farm. This is the AI farm. And in the next 60 minutes, you're going to walk away with three amazing ideas, one from each of these power users. And at the end, you get to vote on the one that hits home for you and is going to make the most productivity gains in your life. That's very exciting. So stay tuned for that. If you're watching on YouTube right now, do me a favor, smash that like button and hit subscribe. We do this every so often. Seems like every week now for producers across North America, live on the internet, and we're bringing you value. We've been talking about lots of different topics. Today we're getting into AI. My name is Dan Aberhart. Welcome to Growing the Future. And we've had a lot of events lately with people attending live and asking questions. Good morning, Harvey. And my dad's on the show, so he's become maybe my biggest fan, let's say. Hey, Rob, is dad my biggest fan, would you say?
Harvey is he's right on the precipice of leading the technological charge. Harvey is.
Yeah, I think he likes me better than Terry now, even though Terry's the farming sibling. But I'm going up in the ranks with all these events. But anyways, I digress. But it's been fun. We've been covering fertilizer and the weather and succession and capital and farmland and the dream team. And now we're dipping our big toe, so to speak, into AI. And here's why this matters right now. Rob Sake's going to talk more about this, but the numbers on AI in agriculture are moving fast. Roughly 70% of large-scale farms in developed countries are already using at least one form of AI on their operation. Where are you? Where are you? The global AI and agriculture market was worth almost 5 billion bucks last year. How much of that did you get? And it is growing at over 26% a year. I think Rob Sake is mentally fact checking me now. I'm interested to hear what his opinion is on this. But the thing is, so 80% of agribusinesses say they understand the potential of AI, but only 20% have actually adopted it. And I would hesitate to say that maybe more than 5% has been highly successful. Really, their old Pareto principle. It's been hard to really implement in a way for a lot of folks. So we want to bridge that gap today a little bit, and that's what I'm going to be talking about here today. So, um, producers are, there's a big gap between who's pulling ahead with this technology and who's just dabbling. And Steve Jobs said this is a computer was a bicycle for your mind. Well, this is like a jet rocket. Some people are leaning into it, and that's why I brought these folks on the call. So let's talk about what we're going to do in the next 60 minutes. We're going to talk to some incredible folks for the first inaugural episode. There's a reason that these folks are on. They're heavy power users. They're going to share what they're doing. As always, you can put your questions into the chat, the Q&A. I got some great questions in the registration already that I can ask. But let's meet our panelists. First up, Rob Saik, founder and CEO of T1 Technology Corporation, the company behind Visor Pro and by Visor Pro, author of the Agricultural Manifesto and Food 5.0, How We Feed the Future. Whew, that's a good title for today. And one of the most respected voices on ag innovation in North America, keynote speaker at Convergence, handsome fella, not a bad golfer. Rob, 15 companies in the last 40 years. Like, what you been doing, my man? What you been doing?
Yeah, just bored. That's all. Just bored. Yeah.
Just cannot stop till you drop. I love it. Well, you're going to lay down some AI notes upon us today, and we're going to be highly educated. So you were honestly, Rob, you're probably the very first person I thought, not to take anything away from the other contestants today, but your business is really centered around helping equipment dealerships with AI, and I think you're doing great work out there. So next up, we have Tim Hammond, founder of Hammond Realty, the team that has moved more farmland in Western Canada than just about anybody, guys who knows firsthand where the smart capital is going. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Dan. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of conversations about this AI topic, and I'm really excited for what you're going to lay down today. And Damon Johnson, Executive Vice President of Global Ag Risk Solutions, the Saskatchewan team that built the whole farm insurance and parametric weather modeling tools. Ooh, that's a mouthful. And you're helping producers across Western Canada with their production insurance. Part of Hub Insurance now. Good morning, Damon. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. So I know you're working on some really deep, deep things there with AI. So before we get started, I just want to thank Crop Aid Nutrition for being a platform partner. Saskatoon-based manufacturer of soil health products. I put their links in the chat if you want to make contact with them. Thank you, Crop Aid, for supporting this platform. Of course, Hammond Realty, Tim and I are having a fantastic time collaborating. I put the link in there. We're having a new event on the land market split, the difference between what premium land's going for and how some average acres are starting to lag. I think you're going to want to check that out next week. So thanks, Tim, for supporting the platform. And then Grip, hey, this is a farm management software that it's built for real operators. We're using it on the farm. It's QR code based. They'll take a look under the hood at your operation for no charge and tell you what they can improve. So check out that link as well as a special offer. And then we just went live with my buddy's store, Bone Trail Originals Appreciation Store. Thank you so much. It's been a long journey getting here, but some beautiful stuff, and show your appreciation for someone you love. I mean, talk about moving up on the ladder here. Harvey and Debbie were really impressed when we gave him a Jesus crystal the other day and a little crystal of Harvey right side by side on the shelf. So you saw that. Hey, Rob, you saw that in Maricopa?
I did. I mean, last night at your mom's place, there's there's a crystal of Jesus and Harvey side by side. So that's pretty amazing.
Oh, looks good on Easter. Well, and you've got one on your own mantle of yourself from
I do.
Convergence as a speaker. So anyway.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Drop your questions into the chat. We're going to do 10-minute power rounds for each of these folks, and we can chitter chatter as we go. But I want to get out their biggest idea about AI. I want you guys to have some big takeaways. Rob Saik, you're up first. You got a little bit of a presentation and some ideas for us.
You bet.
I think I covered everything. Take it away.
Let me know if my screen's up.
Your screen is up.
Okay. First thing I want to share with everybody is that there is going to be tremendous disintermediation with AI. And it's not the artificial insemination we grew up with on the farm, but artificial intelligence is going to reshape a lot of industries. The graphic I wanted to start off with is on the screen right now. And you can see there that the red is where the disintermediation has already happened. This is where job losses are occurring. This is where job shifts are happening. And the blue is the potential total disintermediation in each sector. You can see that management, business, finance, computing, legal, arts and media, those things, office and administration, highly disruptive. Agriculture, you can see where the arrow is very low on the disruption. Now, this is speaking of agriculture at the farm level, and there's lots of things that Tim and Damon are going to share with you guys that can be done at farm level. But in terms of disruption at farm level, because farming is such a hands-on and such a rapidly changing business, weather and insects and everything impacts, and you have to make decisions. Now, decisions are divided into two sides. One is prediction and the other is judgment. Prediction is where you're pulling together all kind of information from weather stations, soil moisture probes, etc. Give me all the data, man, give me some alerts, and then I have to make a judgment call as to what I do. So the first thing I wanted to share is that there is lots of opportunity to integrate AI on the farming operation. But a lot of the disruption in agriculture will happen upstream, like in Tim's realty world, like in Damon's insurance world, like in molecular extraction for crop inputs. A lot of things will happen above the farm gate. But when you think about robotics, and I was CEO of DOT working with Norbert Bourgeot, when you think about robotics are going to explode because AI is going to be harnessed with the robotics. So anyway, that's where I wanted to start off, Dan. I'm going to take you through some examples. On my screen, you can see that I have ChatGPT, I have by Visor Pro, Perplexity, Claude, Notebook LM, GenSpark, and something called Rob Saik. I'm going to take you through in 10 minutes through a few of these things.
Can you zoom in on that, Rob? We're getting some comments that it's hard to see. Could you,
okay, I'll just try to make it a little bit.
I'm trying to change my.
There we go. This
shared content only. Is that
where
better?
I am? Yeah. All right. So the first thing I wanted to take you guys through is something. AI is very good for figuring out how to help you with tasks that you repeat over and over again. So I built myself something called a dossier builder, which is going to create a background for people that I'm meeting with. So if I was, for example, to meet with Tim Hammond of CEO of Realty, Hammond Realty in Saskatoon,
That's
I
fun.
want to know everything I can about Tim Hammond before I get into the phone call with him. So, so this is going to give me a complete background as to Tim Hammond and where I can collaborate with Tim Hammond in my world. And in my world, I have a lot of areas. I've got the Power Farm Group, I've got Visor Pro, but it goes through here and it literally will break down everything that I want to know about Tim Hammond. It'll pull his personality profile, how to work with him, practical ROIs, professional background. This is stuff I do every day when I'm meeting. A disc profile, a possible probable Colby of Tim Hammond, a 7632. I think that's probably pretty accurate. Decision filters, network analysis, communication style. Tim prefers direct conversation in phone or in person over heavy email exchanges. Is that right, Tim?
That is correct.
That is correct. He prefers authenticity over polish, credibility. Do not overcomplicate. Do not lead with jargon. Do not push too early. The capacity alignment scores, these are where my world would align with Tim. T1 Technology Corporation medium, Visor Pro medium to high, Visor Pro medium to low, Power Farm high, keynote speaker high, R Factor, this is coach stuff now, DOS, Dangers, Opportunities, and Strength. This is Chris Voss.
Wow.
He's an FBI negotiator. It tells me how to negotiate with Tim on a tailored basis, collaboration opportunity, soil health, productivity, joint initiatives, authentic cross-selling. Where I would not talk to Tim about is Visor Pro, because that's for the machinery sector like Young's Equipment and Full Line and for Mazer Group. Red flags, these are red flags. Positioning, how long will it take for me to work with him? Final insights. So bang, so there. If I'm having a meeting with Tim, this is something I do every meeting I do before I meet with somebody. And farmers are meeting with people. They're meeting with grain buyers. They're meeting with suppliers. They're meeting with machinery salespeople. What would happen if a farmer actually knew more about the machinery salesperson than the machinery salesperson knew about the farmer? So that's where I wanted to start. Real quickly, this is Visor Pro. Visor Pro is an AI that we built for the heavy equipment sector. Think construction, rental, agriculture, machinery. I mentioned Young's, Mazer Group, Torgerson's in Montana. If I was to advise farmers to get started on AI, I would start with Perplexity. Perplexity is an awesome and simple and reference-based tool. What I wanted to highlight here is connectors. And these are all the things that I have in my world that are connected to Perplexity to allow me to advance how I'm leveraging AI in my world. Claude is very, very popular. We're using Claude a lot for heavy AI work. And you can see down here that if you go in here, you can choose the type of Claude you want to use. And when we're doing model matching, in other words, matching a Massey Ferguson tractor from an OEM manual to a work order, how many different ways can you spell Massey Ferguson? Well, we're using Claude Opus 4.6 to help us behind the scenes on doing model matching. If you wanted to bring in an overview like a video, or you wanted to bring in a book, or you wanted to bring in a large article, then Notebook LM is a great way to bring in. And you can see over here on the right-hand side, I'll just make it a little bit bigger, that I've got all sorts of reports in here that I'm trying to get information from. And on the right-hand side, I can turn them into podcasts, a slide deck, a video overview, flashcards, if I'm speaking. GenSpark is another one that I'm using. This is a lot like Perplexity, and it's got all sorts of AI agents that are attached to it, including a super claw. We won't talk about that, but anyways, it's got the ability to take you wherever. And finally, Dan, I wanted to say, as if you haven't got enough Rob Saik already, I'm building an avatar right now. And so I've loaded into my avatar. Let's see here. Yeah, what does Robert Saik think about genetic engineering in agriculture?
That's the quietest I've ever heard you.
Anyway, so that and then finally, if you're in if you're in a Microsoft environment, then there's Copilot, and if you're in Google environment, this is hooking up all my Google drives and then leveraging Gemini over top of it, because half of my life I spend trying to find things in file folders. So
Hey, Rob,
with
I just
all
had
of
a comment here.
yeah.
Do you think you could slow it down for the audience and just like pick one idea, simple idea that they could implement today? Because
Yeah.
what you're going through is amazing, but it's 20 things for the audience that I think is just sort of a lot of folks. I want to launch this poll.
Well, I want to just set it up.
Where
Yeah.
are you on the AI curve? How would you describe your farm's current use of AI? Have not touched it yet. I have played with ChatGPT or similar, but nothing on the operation. I'm using AI tools regularly for at least one part of my business. AI is built into how I run multiple parts of my operation. And Rob, you stole my thunder on the artificial insemination. For some folks, artificial insemination may go way back on their farm, but I love it. You ask a 10 quick start to bring some ideas and you get 30. But what is because we got a vote on this. What is your number one simple idea takeaway that people could use
Well,
today?
I
It's hard to
I
pick one, right?
yeah, I would start off, if I was dabbling and getting involved, I would start off with Perplexity. You can start off with Perplexity Free and Perplexity Pro, which is where I'm at right now. And I'm a farmer in Saskatchewan looking for values on AF11 combines. What are the ranges? And the interesting thing about Perplexity that I like is that it always comes with references. So you can see machinery Pete, you can see iron search, you can see team auctions. You can see in here that there is always the references. And then what happens is you got all the follow-up questions that are here. So my takeaway for everybody, and I know I shared a lot of stuff real fast, but my takeaway is Perplexity is a good place to start. It's a AI aggregator. So inside of Perplexity, you have a whole bunch of different models that you can utilize. I should be a Perplexity sales guy because I think I've sold a lot of this stuff, but it'll do everything. And then if you get more serious, Dan, then you got this thing called computer over here, and maybe Damon or Tim will touch upon um, building AI agents. And if I switch over to computer, then what I can do is I can start to leverage hooking together multiple streams of data and have this thing automatically do things for me. So computer is taking it to another level. The first thing I showed you was RAG technology, which is search technology. It's much better than Google, and of course, Google's catching up very, very fast. But it's simple, and computer takes us into that whole area where you can build things for yourself. And I think that Damon's got an example of that.
Love it.
So yeah, so I
Thank you,
think
Rob.
yeah,
That is unbelievably intense overview in 10 minutes of how to. I mean, Tim and I were talking about this before we came on. The amount of information you now process in a day is staggering. Is it all good? Is it melting our brains? I don't know. I guess the future generations will see. But there's 19% that have not touched it yet. That's pretty significant. One in
yeah.
five haven't touched it yet. Wow. Thanks for being honest. I have played with ChatGPT or similar, but nothing on the operation. Is 42% of people. Wow, that's really interesting. And 27% of you are using AI tools regularly. 10%, I think, are at where a lot of these folks on the call would be here. 1 in 10, AI is helping. It's built into running multiple parts of the operation. And Rob, you had an example in your power farm
Yeah,
of
yeah.
young Josh
One of our
Carlson.
farmers built a complete marketing. He put in his inventory, put in his contracts, and then he used Claude. I think he used Claude to build a full marketing program for himself. Just
Yeah,
real fast. Yeah.
hopefully he's having some bangers there as far as profits go. And then there is 2% that said artificial insemination goes way back on the farm, and we salute you. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Who wants to go next? Who can who's gonna follow Rob here? Like, Tim's shaking his head. Um, Wishbone's gonna break here. Damon or Tim, who's feeling like going next year?
Tim looks like he's ready to go.
Okay, Tim, you're bursting at the
I
seams here.
Yeah. Very difficult to go after Robert, but very inspired actually to kind of go after Robert. And so just a little bit of background on how much, like how curious I am about AI. And so at Christmas time, ChatGPT said, "Hey, Tim, do you want a summary of kind of our experience over the last year?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, why not?" Right. And so it said, "Okay, you're in the top 3% of adopters of ChatGPT, right? You're in the top 3% of there. You are in the top 1% of users. You had 26,500 messages in AI, over 800 threads." And I was like, huh, really? I might have an addiction problem. But for me, it just AI has expanded my thinking tenfold, right? Because now I can ask a question, I get an answer like that, right? I don't have to go searching for it. And Rob, I am low on a fact finder. I'm only a 4. I'm not a 7.
Okay.
So
Right.
I need 70% of the information right away to make a decision, or I only need 70%. So but anyway, so that's kind of what got me into it. I was fascinated with it. What I built it for, what I implement, I've done lots in our business, but one of the things that I did that maybe will roll over into the ag industry is I built a risk model. And really my risk is in compliance, right? And so we have all these laws, rules, regulations, not only with our regulator, but with our association. And so what I did is I compiled absolutely all the information that I know from these. So I got 400 pages of knowledge from the Real Estate Commission. I got 400 pages of knowledge from the Association of Saskatchewan Realtors, and also FinTrack. So what I did is I combined that into a GPT. That's the knowledge in there. And what I instructed my GPT to do is only interview that knowledge. I do not want you going out into the internet to hallucinate, basically, right? And so I want you to focus your answers, your interrogation, kind of on this. So, and Rob, you'll like this. Is like I read a book. It's called The AI Driven Leader by Jeff Woods, right?
I've been taking his course in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a student, you're a peer, right? But man, if you read one book about AI, read that book. I mean, when I read it 4 times over. I'm an Audible guy, and I just read it over and over and over, and it spoke to me. So and so Jeff's premise is, when you use AI, break it down into 4 things. Provide it context, right? What's going on in here? Give it a role. It can act as an expert or do whatever you want to do, right? And then have it interview you. So have it ask you questions one at a time. And that's where the real gold is, because it will bring out your biases, your blind spots, what your assumptions are, that sort of thing. And then give it a task, right? This is so it's really an algorithm. It's no different than building a spreadsheet in Excel. It's just AI, only it's so much more powerful. So
yeah, it's AI driven leadership by Jeff Woods, GEOFF. And what you just talked about is CRIT,
yeah,
context, role, interview, task. Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't it
So
counterintuitive to read a book about AI?
no, because it's still that human element, right? And that's the thing that we're never going to lose, is that AI is going to free up the human element to achieve more of what they're capable of
Is
doing.
it though, Tim? We were talking about this and how we're both like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And,
Yeah.
I think we need to do another show about, the other side of this. But
So, Dan, to pick up on what Tim said, this is really important for farmers. If you have a grain contract, I hope Damon's going to get into this, but if you have a grain contract, shove that grain contract into one of the AIs and have it analyze that grain contract for anomalies that you would not want to live with or watchouts. And that's a really good way to use AI, is to dissect legal documents.
Yeah.
love it. Well, so we heard from Rob, and his number one pick was use complexity. It's an aggregator.
Perplexity.
Perplexity.
Start there.
Perplexity. Start with perplexity. If you're perplexed about AI, is a great start. Okay. And then Tim, I love this how you're offloading. I mean, how fun is compliance? Do you know people that do you have compliance lovers? Do people that want to,
Well, I'm sure
be
they
compliant all
exist
the
out
time?
there. Yeah, but
Sounds
they're
like a fun party. We're going to the
yeah,
compliance party by the
yeah.
water cooler.
But
I
see,
can't
this is
stand
the
that stuff.
attention with me, right? We got compliance Tim, and then we got business Tim, right? And
Wow.
those don't always make the same decisions together, right? But this compliance GPT that I made always makes the right decision from a compliance basis, makes it known that it's not legal advice, right? It cites the sources. Okay, this is how I came to this advice for you, and here's how I support it. So it provides confidence to the user that, yeah, this is actually right. And it's a signal that, okay, I think you need to talk to either Tim about this or the real estate commission or whatever, right? And so I built all of that stuff into it. But what's amazing about this is now I don't have to take those calls all the time. They can get a lot of their answers right out of the gates, and it scales it. So now all of my team can do this. And if I expand my team from 10 to 50, they can all use it, right?
Did you have a compliance officer before?
Yeah, it was Tim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no fair. So you're
Yeah.
able to tell the team now, well, you're able to share that GPT then, and they can message it on their phone or in their computer and say, am I compliant with
Yeah.
the
So
boss?
yeah, the instructions are ask the GPT before you come to me, right? Let see if you can get the answer, and if there's a complication, then give me a shout, right? And then they can actually share that thread with me, so I can see what the questions were that they asked and kind of follow it through. So for me, it is systemizing how we think and make decisions, right? And that is one of the toughest things to do with your team, right? Is to provide that consistency.
I've
Those
got a
G,
few people in
those
my life who are on that program. Ask the computer before you talk to me. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Rob.
those GPTs are like agents, and what Tim did was he instructed the agent what to do every time. The one I used on the screen here, that was 4,000 words. So, but I never have to do those 4,000 words again. It's
Nice.
done once.
Well, and you put whole knowledge banks in there. I mean, you had Chris the negotiator, you had strategic coach. Who knows who else is having a party in there? Elon Musk. I mean, Think and Grow Rich guy, Napoleon Hill. Um, who knows? Rob's taking notes. He's going to put Napoleon Hill in there. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to say, so that's what I've used it to, kind of manage my risk in my business. And so I could encourage farmers to do the same thing kind of in their business, right? What are the risks that you see out there, right? And I want to, ask questions about that and set up kind of the framework to do that. My idea for kind of a farm enterprise actually comes from the soft side of this, right? And Rob went into it with his GPT, and I'm going to copy that, Rob, because I think it's brilliant. I'm also a student of strategic coach, but it's in how you communicate with people. And so I have profiles on, my team. They go in there, And AI gives me an insight how to position a message a different to position the message differently with each one of them. It's the same message, but they receive information more. They have different fears, different risks, and so I'm using AI to do that. And I think one I've noticed it over my career is 12,000 acres seems to be a barrier. You know, the farmers who get through 12,000 acres, they have the ability to manage people, to run a human resource department, right? And so I think that if someone is struggling kind of with that, AI can really help you get over that barrier, and then really it's unlimited because you can scale it.
Oh, that's amazing. If you can send instructions to your team about this is how Tim operates, because let's face it, not everybody understands that you might be a 10 quick start and a 2 follow through, and what that means for them if they're the opposite, they're a 2 quick start and a 10 follow through, Rob, you're on different, right? You know all that Colby stuff. You're in different
Yeah, I
planets.
think let's just a little context. What we're talking about here is something called a Colby index, and it goes to fact finder, follow through, quick start, and implementer. Those are the 4 areas of an index. And I won't hire anybody unless I'm a 4-3-9-3, go figure. But that's what we're talking about here. But Tim's point is right. If you can understand what the person's modus operandi is, then you can approach them differently based on the conversation.
Yeah, my team in the Philippines has not only a file about how to write like me, but how to work with me, because this is what you should expect. Nathan?
Colby, Kolbe, Colby.
Yeah, and there's a free, I shouldn't say it's free. I think it's like $50 to take that one.
75.
75 inflation, all these wars and everything. It's just everything keeps going up. What's holding you back? What is holding you back? Come with us into this AI revolution. The single biggest thing keeping you from going deeper with AI in your farm is I don't know where to start. And a third of people are saying, I don't know where to start. Hopefully this helped. 17% are saying I don't trust the technology. Yet a full 15% said, I am worried about my farm data being used. And 10% said, I do not have time to learn it. And then nobody, God bless all the independent thinkers on this call, nobody said, I don't wear the pants in this relationship. That's good. Just checking in. And then 29% said, a third said, nothing. I am all in. I didn't share the results there. So, yeah, that's kind of what things look like there. Well, Tim, thanks so much for sharing what you're doing there. And if we could get rid of some compliance, I'm compliant. I'm fully aligned with your being compliant on compliance. So hopefully this call is compliant, because I'd hate to be out of alignment on the compliance with the compliance boss. But Damon, you're got a different Colby than the rest of us, because you've been so quiet and just demure, and you're obviously a lot more introverted than the other 3 of us who are, you're not fighting for airtime.
No, quiet guy in the back of the room. So yeah, Colby 8823, Disc High C, and Myers-Briggs ISTJ. So take that for but happy to be the quiet guy in the back of the room and chime in when the extroverts need some facts to back up their ideas. So so happy to be here. You want me to get into it a bit, Dan?
Please take it away, Damon. Yeah,
sure.
I can't wait. I was really excited about yours too.
Yeah. So, and just a little bit of background on myself. So, 4 obsessions of mine create this collision course that I'll talk about a bit, where literally obsessive compulsive. So farming. So I come from a farming background, still actively involved in a grain farm here in East Central Saskatchewan with my mom and my brothers. Got an economics background, so I'm obsessed with like modeling and try to predict the bad thing that's going to happen and do something about it. I'm obsessed with data, and I'm obsessed with risk and risk management and hedging that risk. I don't like bad things happening if we can control it or hedge it or transfer it somehow. So hence my involvement in the insurance industry. And then in addition, in my abundance of spare time, I also have a fractional strategic consulting business where I work with a number of farms and agribusiness people. And it's kind of funny, we're talking about AI and don't trust the technology and different things. And I forget exactly when it was, Dan, but I'd say it was about a year ago where the big Microsoft update put Copilot kind of as an add-on on Outlook, on Calendar, on email. And the busiest day I've had in probably the last year is the day that happened. And I had probably 7 farmers phone and or text me and go, how do I turn this off? I don't like it. It's kind of watching me. So it kind of is a bit of a an indicator that this transition into AI, especially for agriculture producers whom I know many and love, we're not ready for this, but there's some benefit to come downstream from this. So that's kind of where I come from this perspective. So day in and day out in my work, my team and I, software engineering and data science, we're building predictive analytics and synthetic modeling for internally to understand, manage, transfer risk most appropriately, and kind of create this like really neat ecosystem for that and disrupt it. But I always say, and then you mentioned the part about people just haven't got started or don't know where to start. And I always just say kind of start small, and I'll show you an example or talk about an example in a second, where what's the pain point, or what's the thing that hurts, or what's the thing you see that you like to manage. And I'm, when I'm at my farm with my brothers and working on the farm, I'm the guy sitting in the tractor, the sprayer, the combine and I always have dry erase markers in my lunch kit, and I write formulas and algorithms on the windows, and I take pictures of them, and I would normally send them back to my software team, and they would look at them, and it was kind of clunky and different things like that. And now those just go straight into a Claude code, and you get the JavaScript and the React script and all the necessary things. So the ability to kind of take pain and idea and move it into action is fairly swift. So when I think about the center of all this, farmers, whether you are a farmer or we work with and advise to farms, there's a really unique opportunity here where if I think about farmers who are world-class agronomy, rotation managers, operators, production side, but maybe where admin and office and record keeping is less of a strength, depending on your structure and size and all those different things. But the days of the boxes, the shoe boxes of receipts going into your bookkeeper, your accountant still exist, and that's kind of one of the pain points I see as I'm working with farmers and some of my sideline stuff that. You think about all the decisions you have to make in a day: planning, logistics, record organization, people, accounting, inventory management, grain marketing, agronomy, weather, all these different types of things is, I would say that there's a really unique opportunity in order to start small and just with one pain point, but move it and get it bigger. And I'll talk about something that I did last night, but, I just transitioning years of, I'll just call it messy data, probably 10 years of Excel spreadsheets that don't have great formulas in them, or maybe no formulas, and that's a common thing. So the level of sophistication at the farm level, and this isn't being disparaging, it's just the reality of that's Excel. We all live and die by Excel, even up until now. So the amount of info that we need to consume on a daily basis in terms of like organization and understanding to make decisions, plus all of the historical stuff that we have, yield records, agronomy records, spraying records, you name it, all exists. And so I thought about it in preparation for this, knowing that, thinking about Claude. So we love Claude here. We use it every single day. Where I was, Rob mentioned it. So I took, some grain marketing information, historical field records, legal land descriptions, lat longs, historical rotations, historical yields, historical spray records, and uploaded into, started a Claude project, because that's the place you want to go, because it always remembers the previous input. And I asked it to, I just got some notes here. So build a custom grain marketing decision agent and input cost and ROI tracking dashboard, weather and spray window detection tool, a seeding date, fertility calculator, and operations and maintenance log. So those 5 or 6 things. And in a previous life, and people who come from this previous life, and I know that there's some on this call, is that these, that's what was known as a fully integrated platform. And it took millions of dollars and several years to build that, literally. And the speed to market, where Claude has really become what I call our prototype partner, where we always say we want to fail fast, so that you don't spend an abundance of time and money getting to a prototype that you can only test to see if it's going to work in some type of commercial setting. And So, last night, just I don't have much of a social life. So I took this premise with all this information, created the prompts and uploaded it into the system. So I'm just looking on my screen here. There's 6 different tabs in a fully digitized React workspace with the Google Map instance with all my fields bordered. And that took me about 12 minutes to compute, to create. And and then you iterate a bit, say, adjust that, move the satellite, so it's not over top of the Zoom window and different things like that. But anybody who's used it knows what I mean. But it's really intuitive, and it's kind of like, maybe you do the same thing, Dan. I sit in my office and I kind of talk to myself all day, or I write notes on whiteboards, and it's almost like you're talking to yourself, but you're just typing it into Claude, and it's generating the thing that you're kind of churning in your mind. And so from that standpoint, again, Rob, you talked about the upload grain marketing contracts or publications that are 25 pages long, and you just need the 10 bullet points or different things like that. So I think from an applicability standpoint, it seems scary, and it's certainly not. The use of it as well, Dan. I mean, we use it for everything in our daily life, and I usually sit here starting about 5 a.m. every morning, and it's just instinctual. I probably use it 6 times today, and I don't even really realize that I have. It's Otter AI and Prezi and different systems that just it just helps our life.
Built in.
So, and from the farm perspective, farmers are so visionary and ideological and intuitive that it's just kind of taking what exists in here and churns and putting it into a GPT to create the thing that they want to see. And it's you just have to do it once, and it's fascinating. And I know, like Tim and Rob, Dan, like it becomes an obsession, almost like an unhealthy one at this point. So that's for me to deal with, but it's come so far. I was even thinking about a year ago, this wasn't even on the radar. But it's
didn't exist. Yeah. And there's going to be other leaps. I love that finally, like we always talked about this moment, Rob, where we would be standing here and we could take the last decade of data that everybody's been so studious in collecting and not knowing what we're going to do with it. And now we can parse it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, AgriTrend, we collected 20 years of data all across Western Canada, North America, and imagine what we could do by layering AI. I have, Damon, farmers are very good at sketching out stuff.
Yeah.
I saw a diagram the other day. A farmer was sketching out the value of straw, and they were working on the formula, and it was just all sketched out on a piece of paper. So do this. Take a picture of your sketch and throw it into AI. Take a picture of something that you're doing, some drawing, some miscellaneous documentation, either writing or a sketch, throw it into AI and have it do something with it. So the value of straw was all worked out by Karen. She had worked out all his values. I grabbed it, threw it in, and immediately said to AI, build formulas around this so I can use this thinking. It's the thinking that you need to have, and then apply AI to do the work.
Well, Tim, I want to get your thoughts on what Damon shared too. And we're going to get the questions here very shortly. Got about 15 minutes left. If we're going to keep it true to the top of the hour and respect people's time, but sometimes we go a little bit longer. But Tim, what are you thinking there? I'm putting up another poll. I'm going to share it shortly. But what are you thinking, Tim? What Damon shared there?
Oh, well, I mean, I
need more hours in the day to play with AI.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it is just such a tool, just such an amazing tool, and how you can condense your thinking into much more productive kind of blocks so much quicker and model things, right? It's just it's just so amazing. And then also, like, the AI is just changing so rapidly too, right? So what I knew, kind of 18 months ago, it's different today. And I think that's maybe the part of being in it all the time is if you go away for a week, you're going to notice that something has changed already, right? And
you can't go away for a week, Tim. You cannot. You can't.
I cannot go away for a week, right? Even if I get on a cruise ship, that
you're going to miss something. Oh yeah.
Right?
Murphy's Law. As soon as you get on a boat, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. But I mean, it's using it as a thought partner, right? And and that's the thing is, sure, it'll help you come up with solutions, but you got to direct it, right? You got to say, no, these are the parameters, and you have to give it context. And I actually think, like, probably 35 to 60-year-olds, we're the ones that are really leveraging it, because number one, we got context. We understand what's actually going on and the nuances. And number two, we're curious. We are built to ask questions, and AI thrives on that, right? And so, yeah, those are just a few of my thoughts on it.
5 years from now, AI on your farm will be a small helper with a few specific tasks, said 9%, a core part of how I make decisions every day. Half of folks said that. Half of folks said a core part. I think that's a big shift. Running parts of my operation on its own, 17%, and 4% said hopefully replacing me every way in every way. That's my hope. And 21%, I honestly do not know. Lord help us. Lord help us all. And we'll get to questions here, but I'm gonna take the liberty of showing you how I use AI this morning before this call. And I want to share desktop 3. And what I did was, so I get an email every time somebody registers, right? So what I asked Claude as an extension in my Gmail is, hey, can you help scrape all the emails for the webinar registration for the AI farm? Create a list of any questions and who they're from. So here they are. This is one of my favorite things to do, is just let AI do the hard work in my email so I don't have to look through them and figure them out, because we had hundreds of registrations and some people put comments in here, and here they are. So that's a lot of fun, and I'm using it every day now, all the time, to help me figure out like what's going on in my email and who said what and how to circle back. So if you didn't know, you can put AI right into your browser and go to town till the cows come home. So great stuff. We're going to vote here very shortly on. Rob Saik said try Perplexity. It's an aggregator of technology, of the AI technology. It probably does 80% of the heavy lifting in a lot of these cases. Yeah. Tim shared how he's staying compliant in the universe by replicating that through a GPT that he can share with his team. And Damon built a dashboard in 7 minutes. I mean, hopefully you have a seated heat in the old Louvre these days, because you can get so much done in the can now on a phone. It's a little scary, but yeah. So build a whole dashboard for the farm, from all that aggregated data, and it's just some crazy. So who did you think was the best? We'll get to that shortly, but we had some questions here for our expert panel. Carl Strobel is asking, can you explain the difference between machine learning and AI? And I wonder if that plays into like what is physical AI in farming? And I don't know, Rob, you're kind of at the cutting edge of all this. What's machine learning? Like we sort of, yeah, what is that at?
I'll use Dot as an example. So we were working on Dot, and back in the day when we were working on Dot, we had to do a lot of programming. So algorithms, we had to build a lot of algorithms, programs to anticipate what Dot might see in the field as it's doing its robotic action. Today, with AI, Dot would not only encounter something unusual, but think through the actions as to how to get around the problem. For example, if you had a dead moose in the field and you were spraying, Dot would normally just stop. That's the algorithm at work saying there's an issue with an object. Today, you could use AI to say, hey, there's an object in the field. Here's what it likely is. Back up, go around it. That's the difference between AI. Damon, you might have a real good explanation, because I gather from your programming background, like machine learning will be leveraged on top, or AI will be leveraged on top of machine learning.
Yeah, like AI is the thing that's simulating our intelligence, as crazy as that sounds. And the machine learning component is what trains that model to things like we do or we have. And in a technical sense, or in our daily work, my team and I, where it's the better the historical data to train the model, the better the AI is going to be. And that's always kind of been the delta between this, is that there has been lots of bad data that's gone into it, and thereby the recommendations or the AI or the way that it's simulating our thinking will be flawed. And certainly my thinking is flawed is often. So it from a technical standpoint, if you think about building a predictive model in a yield prediction model in agriculture. There's all this remote sense data from weather, satellite imagery, soils, all these like subsets of data that we go and get. We extract, transform, and load it. We do exploratory data analysis. We select the features that are most likely to think like we do and create the ideal outcome without any human intervention. And then you train the models based off of that. So it's the input and then the output is essentially or cause and effect.
So Dan, if you think back to the clean seeder, the clean seed air seeder, it could vary 6 different things per shank.
Yeah.
So think about that, right? So it could vary your seed and 5 different fertilizers per shank. Well, who could program that? Nobody. There's no agronomist on the face of the planet that can program that kind of variation variable fertilizer application rates. But if you had a sensor in front of the tractor that could sense what was in the soil, and you could build an algorithm that basically was your recipe, and then you could have AI actually vary 6 different nutrients per shank every 12 inches across the field. Like it would be impossible without AI.
Okay, we got 9 minutes left and we still want to vote. So I want to try and get to everybody's questions. So let's keep our answers succinct if we can, gentlemen. Chris Sobchuk is asking, speaking of trusting it, how can we verify the data back is accurate? Tim, you were saying you got to read everything anyways.
Yeah, I do. I mean, when I'm working on something and it's doing 95% of what I need it to, I still need to read it to make sure that it's 100% accurate, right? And actually, when I built this GPT on compliance, when I started playing around with it, I'm like, nope, you're not getting this right. I need to reprogram it, right? And so, Rob, you said your prompt is 4,000 characters, mine is 8,000, and I had to move it from one AI to another. So I used Chat GPT to play it off against Claude, and then I'd rewrite it in Claude and put it into. And so I had to play with it to figure out, this is the output that I want. This is the answer that I want. This is the consistency. So it's trial and error. You're not going to get it perfect the first time around, but you train it, right? You train it with your prompts.
Well, and that might be answering this next question from Stefan, if I said your name right there, I hope. How do you deal with AI hallucination? Well, there are ways to build it into your, like, the more context you give it to, if you just, the problem with ChatGPT is going to make up things if it doesn't know the answer. So if you give it context, Rob, I see that you've got something to share on that.
Well, just our Visor Pro that Young's Equipment, Mazer Group, Full Line are using in Saskatchewan Ag World. It will give you an answer and always the reference. So you need to have a human in the loop, to Tim's point. But we've designed it on data that is curated data, so it cannot go externally to hallucinate, and you need to have a human in the loop.
Yeah.
Jason LeBlanc is saying all 3 of these gentlemen have equally great info. You ask us to vote, but it's impossible, so I ask you to get AI to vote. This may provide confidence. Yeah. Well, and Jason sent me a comment here that I really liked. AI is the future. Some don't believe that. And they thought the TV or the fax machine, or I'm going to insert my own thing here, probably the steel tractor, was a fad, right? Remember, nobody wanted the steel tractor. I didn't get rid of those horses. I worked hard for 36 years as an auctioneer, and I got replaced by a button. Haha. So as farm managers, are you prepared to be replaced by AI? Jason LeBlanc said it. I'm prepared. I mean, as long as, it's going to get you 3 squares a day,
Knowing Jason, he'll never be replaced.
Well, how could we replace? I mean, no AI could replicate that auctioneer's voice, or that southeastern Saskatchewan charm. Let's be real. But Ryan Giles from Oxbow Agland Corporation, Calgary, Alberta. When will drones be able to scout fields, and when will they be able to spray large, small grain farms?
Oh, well, this is precision agriculture. I mean, the disruption is $264 billion that Goldman Sachs predicts that precision ag will steal from chemistry, chemicals, and fertilizer. I saw a video yesterday where laser beams are being used in Germany to shoot out weeds. I was in Yuma, Arizona, where they were using herbicide to spray out plantain beside a lettuce plant. How many colored maps have you seen on your farm and you don't know how to make sense of it? AI can start to, right, Damon?
All of them. Yep.
Doug Berry is saying, how can we use Over the Hill Farms, Glenboro, Manitoba? How can we use AI in shop maintenance in operation work related to potato business? Oh man, does it? I mean,
Start with grip.
that's what I was gonna say. Start with grip, man. Get those QR codes. Link is in the chat, or send me a text. But yeah, we're using that on the farm, and that's a wonderful thing. Blake Kuchar, is Starlink and AI with a tractor a viable option, such as an air drill with mapping software? Where are we with connectivity in AI?
I Again, I think it's a viable option. They're doing
Yeah.
it in Brazil. I mean, John Deere and Case have signed deals with Starlink. And if you're following the war in Ukraine, the Ukrainians are using Starlink on everything, and the Russians can't anymore, and that's wonderful. And in terms of accuracy, if you spend a little bit of time following what's going on there, the accuracy is out of this world.
How can AI improve marketing of your crop? Well, you just had the example, Rob, of a young fella in the power farm that was using AI. Um, yeah, I guess it's a great question to ask AI. Maybe ask AI, just like when the internet started. Does anybody remember Ask Jeeves? That dude, when we were asking Jeeves. Now we
Yeah.
got the real thing. So I'm gonna go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say to that question specifically, that was one of the components I built into the dashboard yesterday. So the
Love it.
Claude prompt, and I'll read it just quick, but it's, so I just said, create a grain income marketing calculator for a 7,000 acre wheat canola barley farm in Saskatchewan. I want to input expected yields, current future prices, storage costs, and basis levels. It should model 3 marketing scenarios: solid harvest, stage monthly sales, and price target triggers. Show me a chart comparing net revenue for each strategy, right? So that you just talk to it like I just did. But you have to type it, and it does the thing that you just said. It's brilliant.
And my tip is download Whisper Flow because it allows you to hit the function button on your computer and it records what you say and AI smooths it out. So I talk to my computer. I don't type. Typing is a little bit of a quaint thing like a typewriter. Well, final poll. Who's where did that go now? Whose idea was your favorite? It's all in good fun. We're gonna send them something. Probably something from Bone Trail, little monument for being the winner chicken dinner on the very first episode of the AI farm. And I just can't wait to do more episodes talking with friends and neighbors about AI. And I don't know, are we more confused or less confused? More inspired, less inspired? Just want to go out in the woods and take a breath, smell nature. Whew. Touch grass, folks. It's okay. Kent Erickson says you say AI and precision ag is going to take 264-ish billion from chemistry, etc. How much of that dollars is from human employment? Is there a downside to human job loss to be factored in?
Yeah,
Will AI be a net job creator or loser? That's a big one.
Some of the numbers in my head. So 264 billion, according to Goldman Sachs, precision ag, because of more precise application of pesticides, will steal $66 billion from pesticides, $60 billion from $60 billion from fertilizer. I think the number was $70 billion from labor. So it will impact labor. But this is
less so in agriculture than I'm arguing anybody who's sitting there clicking on a screen, your days are numbered because.
But this wasn't an AI survey. This was a precision ag survey, and I argued that AI is going to allow farmers to apply precision ag faster, better.
Well, there's going to be jobs for everybody, lots of food and drink, universal income, and Elon Musk's going to fix everything, right? Self-driving cars. We'll live like the Jetsons. You do what you want, or what? Or what? Well, drum roll. Oh, this is crazy. Guess who won?
Yeah.
I think Damon. I mean, it's all great ideas, like Jason said. Hard to pick one, but Damon, probably yours maybe inspired people like to build a dashboard with their information. Tim, you probably lost out because of compliance.
That
It's
sucks. That's
boring.
why I built the GPT.
It was
everyone,
worth losing this to have
right?
the
But
compliance.
no one likes risk, right?
Well, it's, but that's maybe the first thing to offload in the unique ability matrix. We've talked about a strategic coach is like, I'm trying to automate everything I don't love. I don't want to get replaced from doing these events because they're a lot of fun. But anyways, and one thing I wanted to do too is I wanted to share all this in the Growing the Future Mastermind and create some templates and tools out of all these conversations in the future. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to put that in the mastermind. But final words on AI, folks, just to go around the horn. We're almost on the hour here. Who wants to take it away and just give their final synopsis on this AI? What did you think of the AI farm, and what do you recommend people get started with, et cetera, et cetera? Maybe we'll let the most introverted fellow go first. Damon, you were the winner, by the way. We're going to send you something from Bone Trail.
Do I get the rest of the day off? Can you text Dave and say I won the rest of
Well, you've been so productive. Take some time. Take some time.
Yeah, I don't, it's become, it's not, start small. Start with a pain point and just like anything, like when we started using the internet or email or Google, you started small and now it's like an extension of our arm. So and try it out and you'll know very quickly if you also hate it. That's the other thing. So
Yeah.
but you don't know until you try.
What about you, Tim? What did you think of the AI farm? What do you recommend to folks? What's your final word?
Yeah, exactly that is just start playing with it, right? And I think every person uses it a little bit differently, and you'll find out where you gravitate to, right, by using it. And also, if you're a slow typer, just chat to it. That's why they call it Chat GPT. You can just talk to it, right?
It's in the name. Yeah, you can literally talk to it. And Rob, we're giving you the final word. What do you think, man?
Play. Be a
Yeah.
button pusher. Play with it. Just and use it as a thought partner.
Yeah.
On the farm, you're often alone. Just talk. Just talk, like Tim says. Talk to AI about any idea you have and see where it goes. And I think that's the biggest thing. I have to stop myself every day and think about, okay, how can I leverage AI to do this instead of me doing it? And the results are astounding. It helps you unblock your creativity.
Well, thank all of you for coming on to the very first episode. And I was very excited to have this. And hopefully that was somewhat illuminating. Chris Sobchuk is saying being able to ask specific and put in good content on what you want will get you good answers, specific questions.
Yeah.
And then Darcy Nestabo is saying go to YouTube, YT University, YouTube University, YT.
Yeah.
Is YT something different than YouTube? And learn pretty much all that's out there on AI. I mean, it kind of comes down to your passions, where do you want to spend your time. But I would argue that AI can help you increase your passions, whatever it is. We are in a new age, folks. Everything's changing really fast. We want to keep you up to date here at Growing the Future. So look forward to more conversations like this. Next week, Tim, we're back. Do you want to give a pitch on that?
Yeah, sure. While I'm here,
As well.
we had a great kind of session about a month ago, just about the farmland market in Saskatchewan and how it's splitting, right? And how there's different demand for good land in good area than there is for average land in average area. So we're going to drill down more on that, right? And kind of identify what's really driving kind of the average land, kind of factor in that. And we got a couple of ag lenders on there just to tap into their expertise. So yeah, looking forward to it, Dan.
Yeah, it's going to be really great. And then Wednesday, for the first time ever, guess who's coming to the show? Drew Lerner. Drew Lerner. Drew Lerner's coming on Wednesday. So the link's in there, and we're going to be talking weather. That's brought to you by Crop A Nutrition. So anyways, it's been fun. Thanks for everybody that attended. We had over 100 on the call at one point there. So thank you very much, and great conversation. And we'll do this again. We'll do the wraparound soon, and Damon will invent something new in 7 minutes, and he'll have to come back on the show. And Rob will we'll have his avatar in actually next time. It won't be the real Rob, but Catherine Kirchhoff says great convos. And Tim, thanks so much for supporting the channel. Thank you, everybody that came. And we'll talk to you about growing the future even more soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dan.
Take care, guys. Thank you for coming on. Thanks.